Yo, FPL community, welcome to Proper Things, the FPL show brought to you by the TT FPL Pro-League, episode 20. I want to thank everyone for supporting the channel, viewing up the videos, liking and subscribing and leaving the comments. I'm very thankful to each and every one of y'all. You got us here to 20 episodes, a small milestone, but I'm so grateful. Until the last game week, I was not really thankful or grateful for much of it, as my boy Erling got that late surprise injury to miss the game week, which meant vice captains reign supreme. But we'll get into that and more in the episode. Without further ado, we kick things off with the review of game week 16. Liverpool narrowly squeaked past Crystal Palace 2-1. Mo Salah with a big haul. Brighton and Burnley played out a 1-1 draw. Bournemouth absolutely destroyed Manchester United at Old Trafford, 3-0. Big win for the Cherries. Sheffield shocked the Honeybees of Brentford 1-0. Wolves and Nottingham Forest played out a 1-1 draw. Aston Villa defeated Arsenal 1-0 at Villa Park, continuing their hot streak. Arsenal dropped to second in the table. Everton defeated Chelsea 2-0. Fulham kept their hot streak alive, putting 5 past West Ham, unanswered 5-0 in that one. Manchester City squeaked past Luton 2-1, happy for the 3 points. And Tottenham put on a clinic versus Newcastle, 4-1 in that one. And that was the review of game week 16. And now with the reviews signed and delivered, we move into what we call the goat mouth segment, or the previews for game week 17. Kick things off on Friday with Spurs winning 3-0 versus Nottingham Forest. I have Bournemouth winning 3-1 versus Luton. The same scoreline as Chelsea get right versus Sheffield, 3-1 to Chelsea. My boys Manchester City squeaked past Crystal Palace 2-1 at home. Newcastle also defeat Fulham in a thriller, 3-2. Everton continued their ascent up the table, 2-1 versus Burnley. Arsenal also get right versus Brighton, 2-1 at the Emirates for the Gunners. Aston Villa continued their hot streak as well, this time on the road, 2-0 versus Brentford. 1-1 will be the scoreline between West Ham and Wolves. And Liverpool continued their dominant work versus United at Anfield as they comfortably win 3-0 to conclude game week 17. So now with my predictions delivered, we're moving into the most anticipated segment for every episode, the one that most of the viewers want to see, and I'm speaking about the Proper Things segment. Here's where I give you the players that should be in your team now and going forward, as they are the centerpieces to FPL with your Proper Things picks. Needle movers for my aggressive players looking to rise rank immediately. Spilt milk means they've overstayed their welcome in your team and should be moved on as they've become funky. And wondering pick is the players that you should keep a keen eye on. So we starting things off with the Proper Things picks. Again, these are the centerpieces to FPL and should be in your team now and going forward. Well, we had a little shock in game week 16 with the most owned player, the most expensive player being Erling Haaland, coming down with the injury news, with the stress factor and missing the game week. There's also a high chance that he misses the Champions League game and this game week 17 versus Crystal Palace. So we filming this Proper Things episode with the Erling Haaland injury hanging over us, because he's the only player in the game that if he's out injured, you could take those funds and practically have any combination of the rest of players in your team if you really try to get them in, because that 14 million you could distribute it in so many ways. And with the injury, the stress factor, again, it's hanging large over each FPL manager. Will he or won't he play? Right now, it doesn't look good. So, in the Proper Things picks last game week, we had Pedro Porro, Wang, Sterling, and of course, Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland, as mentioned before, didn't play, so I blank there. Pedro Porro, 5 points, and Wang and Sterling, we missed there 2 points apiece. This game week in the defensive proper things pick, I have Pedro Porro returning. I know it was mere minutes away from absolute pandemonium as we had the assist, bonus points, and the clean sheet, but a late Jolinton goals stopped the party, spoiled the party for all Porro owners. But I believe Friday versus Nottingham Forest, Tottenham put on a show, and Porro will be one of the main acts to view. And I believe the haul didn't come in game week 16, but it comes in game week 17. So Pedro Porro is your proper things defender pick for game week 17. In midfield, we have a dynamic duo, probably the two hottest midfielders in the entire game. They also cost an arm, and the other one costs, well, 3 or 4 fingers. I'm speaking about Mo Salah, of course, coming in at 13.2 million and Humanson at 9.6 million. Mo Salah, of course, and Liverpool play Manchester United at Anfield. Last 3 seasons, they have absolutely spanked Manchester United at home. I expect Salah again to do the work against one of his favorite opponents, and I expect big things from who is the man that will be my captain in Mo Salah this game week. So nothing much more to say on the Egyptian king. He's accompanied, of course, by Humanson off the back of a 17-point game week 16. We have confirmation now that he's on penalties. Played off the left, but he absolutely put Kieran Trippier through the ringer. 2 assists there, 2 nasty plays there from Son. And I believe he continues that hot streak, that form versus Nottingham Forest in the early Friday kickoff. So Salah and Son, the dynamic duo, proper things midfielder picks for game week 17. And now for your proper things forward pick. Of course, I have to say we filming this currently with the presumption that Erling Haaland misses game week 17 due to the stress fracture, as right now it doesn't look good for Erling and his chances of playing. But that could change later on in the week. But going under that, the proper things forward pick is, of course, Ollie Watkins. I believe that if Erling is indeed out for game week 17, Ollie Watkins is the best striking asset in the entire game, coming in at 8.5 million. It was tough sledding for the Englishman versus Manchester City and Arsenal the last couple game weeks. 2 tough games, but I believe he gets right and Villa win this game 2-0, as said in the predictions, the goat mode predictions. I think Ollie's at the heart of it, and he scores and delivers for his managers this game week. Again, we know Ollie's a guy who the chances usually flow through. Sometimes he misses, but I believe he gets back on target this game week and he punishes the non-owners. So get Ollie in as soon as possible, as he is your proper things forward pick for game week 17. And now we're shifting gears into the needle mover segment. Again, this is the segment for my aggressive players looking to rise rank immediately. This is my favorite segment to deliver, as I'm an aggressive player myself. And last game week we had a hit, a home run and a miss, as we recommended. Trent Alexander-Arnold, 4 points. Grealish with the home run, a perfect 10 from Grealish, and Visa the miss being 2 points. I remember saying Grealish had the highest ceiling there, so for all those who brought in Grealish, kudos to you all. And this week now, the defender that I recommend, while I would like to recommend Matty Cash, a guy who could punish all the sellers, I have to go with his teammate being the Spaniard Pau Torres, coming in at 4.7 million from Aston Villa. We saw Villa blank Manchester City and Arsenal last 2 game weeks. And this week, I believe the defense tightens up even more. And if you viewed the games, you would see that Pau Torres almost scored versus both City and Arsenal. He's getting those opportunities at a very nice clip for a defender. It's only a matter of time before he punishes the non-owners. So I believe you should bring him in this game week, and you could keep him going forward if you have any fires to put out. He's an absolutely standout option. Of course, they play Sheffield in the blank game week that, City misses, that Brentford misses. So he's an absolutely standout pick going forward as well, and a needle mover this game week. So Pau Torres, again, is your needle mover defender pick for game week 17. In midfield, well, this guy has been through the ringer this entire season, being a wandering pick early on, being spilt milk early on, and then he went off injured, spent some time getting his body right, getting his mind right, and now he's back and he absolutely put on a show versus Newcastle. I thought he was playing in canary yellow. I'm talking about the Brazilian Richarlison coming in at 6.6 million. I know most of you already have Heung-min Son. You might want to bring in Lo Celso for the budget option. But I believe this is a great game week to just go and jump in on Richarlison if you're looking for a midfielder at that price range at 6.6 million. I don't think many people will have him, as they still say that the jury's out on the Brazilian. I think you could be one of the first people to get on the boat, and I think he returns versus Nottingham Forest. He seems to be in a good space right now. Still, the odd chance he's still missing them. But Forest is a game I expect Spurs to put on a show, and Richarlison is playing the number 9 role. So I expect him to return handsomely. So he is your needle mover midfielder pick for game week 17. And finally in attack, I know last game week we missed handsomely with Visa. But this game week there's a caveat as Newcastle play versus Milan in a do-or-die fixture for the Toons midweek. We know Isaac and Wilson normally share the striking snaps, but Isaac has had the most of the workload of late with Wilson injured. We saw a little cameo from Wilson at the weekend versus Spurs. And if Isaac starts versus Milan midweek, I believe Wilson starts the game on the weekend. And they do play Fulham. I expect Newcastle to come out at home versus Fulham and show all their attacking prowess. Of course, they'll be missing their standout right back in Kieran Trippier, but I expect Newcastle to put on a show nonetheless. And with Wilson, I believe, being their starting number 9, if no injuries happen midweek versus Milan, he's an absolute home run needle mover pick for game week 17. As we know what Newcastle is all about, and he's absolutely nailed on penalties. When Newcastle get a length on you, they absolutely spank the opposition. I expect them to put on a show versus Fulham again. So Wilson is your needle mover forward pick for game week 17. And now that you have all the picks that will help you rise your rank immediately, and you're going to inject them, we're moving into the spilled milk segment. This segment, however, is the segment where I give you the picks that have overstayed their welcome in your team as they have become net negatives and need to be moved on immediately. Because, oh boy, have they become funky. And last game week, we recommended 3 spilled milk candidates, and all were very funky, being Gaethje, Mbueno, and Wood. 2, 0, and 1 from those 3 assets. And this game week, for all those who still having the Crystal Palace defenders, I know you all have not been paid back for the loyalty at all. And this week I'm giving the final warning on Crystal Palace defender, but instead of Gaethje, I'm giving Anderson coming in at 5.0 million at the time of recording. Expect a price drop on this asset before game week 17. So you could get rid of him if you don't have many files to put out, but I don't see Anderson returning many points over the festive period. He's a bad pick this game week and going forward. So if you have the ability to move on from Anderson, as the Crystal Palace defense on the whole has become leaky of late, Anderson's attacking threat has not been there these last couple game weeks. So last one on Crystal Palace defense, and Anderson is your spilled milk defender pick for game week 17. In midfield, well, I have seen a lot of things in football. I believe that I have seen it all. But I believe it's the first time I absolutely saw a player duck the feed. I'm speaking about the spilled milk midfielder picking Bruno Fernandes, getting a cheap yellow to miss the game versus Liverpool. I mean, they were absolutely getting busted up by Bournemouth at home. Cherries went on to win 3-0. Manchester United looked horrid. And Bruno probably just opted out of the Liverpool fixture, as that's been a fixture that they have been beaten soundly by. Many goals from the Liverpoolians, and I don't see that changing this game week. Of course, Bruno is suspended, and Manchester United, I don't know what's going on with Erik ten Hag. I believe he's on thin ice with Bayern Munich, and of course, Liverpool fixture on the horizon. And I believe if you still have Bruno, if you're trying to keep the faith, I think you need to go to church more often for this Christmas period and to the New Year. As that feet on Bruno, you need to put that somewhere else. It's time to move on to something better. Only better and upwards from here. So Bruno Fernandes again is your spilled milk midfielder pick for game week 17. Finally, in attack, this one hurts me. I know he is a keep this game week for most people, but Darwin Núñez, I have to put him here in my personal opinion at 7.6 million. I do believe Liverpool win this game 3-0. I believe Salah returns. I believe other players, other assets return, but Darwin is such a headache to own in fantasy. I know sometimes you get the drip feed, but you should have been getting Hall so far. Maybe the Hall comes this weekend, but I've lost faith in Darwin personally. If you have the option to get rid of Darwin without putting out another fire, I think this is a week you could get rid of. Of course, you may hold another week, but I'm giving you this spilt milk pick early in case you see the United game versus Liverpool. The other assets, Hall and Darwin, does not. You've been warned. So Darwin Núñez, the opportunities have been there, but the finishing and the composure just doesn't seem there to be when the Uruguayan playing in red. So Darwin Núñez is your spilt milk forward pick for Game Week 17. And now we're moving into the final segment in the proper thing segment. I'm speaking about the wondering pick segment. Here's the place you should keep a keen eye on this game week with plans to bring them in the upcoming game weeks. We recommended Reece, Kulu, and Alvarez last game week. Reece was a perfect wondering pick candidate, as we saw, unfortunately, that he blew out his hamstring and sets to be out for the next 3 months. Said he needed another week to see how James' body and how he looks, and fortunately it broke down again. Kulu didn't return in the absolute smoke show that Spurs put on Newcastle, and Alvarez with the assist. In this game week, I have an Arsenal defender who I want to see if he plays first of all and how he plays, because I know most people have an Arsenal defender. Some have double defensive assets from the Gunners. I'm speaking of the Brazilian Gabriel, coming in at 4.9 million currently. Saliba is the main piece down there, and he comes in at a premium price. I think he retains his spot throughout the hectic Christmas season, as now the Gunners have dropped a second. But Gabriel, of course, is prone to rotation early on in the season. We saw Kiwior come in, but not for Gabriel last game week. It was Zinchenko starting off the bench. I expect a benching or a rest for the Brazilian around the corner. I hope it doesn't come this game week for his owners, and I want to see how he plays, but according to how he goes, he may be a candidate to keep or sell, so he's the perfect wondering defender pick for Game Week 17. In midfield, I'm giving another Spurs asset a keen eye this week. I'm speaking about Brennan Johnson, coming in at 5.8 million. Spurs again, a smoke show versus Newcastle. I expect another smoke show versus Forest, and if you have one of these Spurs assets, it will be a benefit to you going forward. Of course, most have Son. Some are moving in for Poro if they don't have him, and you may have the option to bring in a third asset. I do like Richarlison more than Brennan currently, but I'll be keeping an keen eye on Brennan to see how he goes this Game Week 17. And finally, in attack, Fulham seems to be on absolute smoke of late. 5 versus West Ham. And Raul Jimenez reminds me of the prime beast that he was in Wolves. That the Mexican terror. He was linked to a lot of big clubs back then. Then the horrendous injury. Seems to be playing some of his best football since that injury. Absolute phenom. Picking up right where Mitrovic may have left off. Fulham again seems to be in a good space. They have a tough game versus Newcastle, but I'm taking this fixture as a great opportunity to see how Jimenez goes in this game. If he goes well, he will definitely be on my radar. Just want to see if it's more a flash in the pan or the purple patch was a come and get it now, and the train has left the station. So I'll be keeping a keen eye again on the Mexican to see how he goes this week. And that concludes the wondering pick and the proper thing segment for Game Week 17. I hope you all enjoyed. Again, thanks for the support. We are episode 20. I would really greatly appreciate it if you all go down in the comment section and leave your thoughts on the picks. Whether it be nice, whether it be not so nice. If you have a different pick, an alternative, of course, I'm welcome to hear it. And while you're there, you can also like the video. And if you have not yet, you could subscribe to the channel, because we're out here each and every game week giving you all the content that you all want and some need. So again, very grateful to be filming episode 20 and we continuing for the rest of the season. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now with the proper thing segment concluded, we're moving into the Captaincy Corner, of course. And here's where I give you my favorite candidates for the captaincy, for all those who are struggling on who to give the ban to. Last game week I said it was straightforward Haaland, but the late injury sunk that ship pretty quickly, with Salah being the second guy up, Son being on the list. So this just shows you the importance of setting your vice captain. So if you had Salah or Son, you fell into success, as they say, and sometimes you need that kind of luck. If you didn't have those two, I hope that you had a great alternative as well. And this game week, I'm going with the Egyptian King. And this is, as we say, probably the guys who watch football and know what Liverpool do to United regularly. And I think Salah, comes up against United, one of his favorite opponents, and absolutely puts a licking on them again at Anfield. No more words to express how great the Egyptian King is in FPL. He is the Egyptian King for a reason. So he is my favorite captain for Gameweek 17. At pick 2, however, is a guy who plays on Friday who just comes off the back of a 17-point game. He's confirmed on penalties now. And he plays Forest. Coming off the left, I'm talking about Heung-Min Son. And now Heung-Min Son, with the fixture in mind, may have the safer floor. But I believe Salah has a higher upside with his recent showings versus United. So that is why he's at 1 and Son is at 2. But if you're looking for a safer play, or maybe the differential pick, because I believe most managers move to Salah as their captain knowing what Liverpool has done to United, Son could be your guy. So Son coming in at 2 on Captaincy Corner, at position 2 on Captaincy Corner. He will be my vice captain, especially with the Erling Haaland injury looming over us at the time of recording, of course. At number 3, I have my proper thing striking pick in Ollie Watkins. I believe Villa continue their hot streak. Ollie Watkins scores this weekend as Villa win. So he comes in at 3. 4 is the upside striker. Of course, we're watching to see who gets the start versus Milan for Newcastle. If it's Isaac Wilson, needle mover forward pick, and is the 4th best option for captaincy in my opinion. And to close out the top 5, needle movers midfielder pick Richarlison. For those who don't really think United will get beat up by Liverpool and looking for a differential away from Son, Richarlison could be your guy. But he comes in at 5 on Captaincy Corner for Gameweek 17. So hope the captaincy picks or recommendations help you out with your captaincy, and good luck this upcoming game week. And now we're moving into the return of a segment that's been missing for the last few game weeks. I'm speaking about the segment with the most chats and the group chat with the most bans. It's the return of the race for the 10K. Here on the race for the 10K, we give you the updates on the standings for the TT FPL Pro-League. Of course, we didn't have this segment for the last few game weeks. With the quick turnaround of games, we didn't have the official final update on the app at the time of recording. But this game week, things different as we have the final update. So now we're looking into the standings heading into game week 17. And we're seeing that at the top of the table, we have a new leader since we were last here. And I'm speaking about Bamboo United by Ricardo Mongal, with an impressive 992 points this season, 67-point game week. A quick look at Ricardo's team, and we're seeing that he had Sanchez in goal, a flag there, unfortunately, 3 points. Simicas, Poro, Pinnock, and Gabriel, 2 each, except for Poro returned 5. Son, a massive 17, vice captain, turned captain, Salah with 26, Saka with 2, Palmer with 1, Gordon with 2, and Alvarez with 5 points. He missed on the Solanke points on his bench, unfortunately 7 points, but he ducked the feed with the cells -1 on his bench as well. So congrats to Ricardo, congrats to Bamboo United on being the new leaders here in the TT FPL Pro-League. We're excited to see what you do this upcoming game week and see if you can retain the lead after game week 17. In second place now we have Sabos Lads by FPL Trini 990 points, 2 points off the leader, 63-point game week. And rounding out the top 3, the Sky saw redemption by Stefan Ramke soon. And he has 989 points and 57-point game week. So just 3 points separate the top 3 at the time of recording, with A-Wick 12 by Andre Roberts, 985 points, and Trent Poole by Andreas York 975, rounding out the top 5. With Ryan Juggernaut and Everyone Loves a Fatty, Dr. Phil Foden by Kapil, White Rice Party by Celine, Havant Jota Clue by Aziel, and Gaza City by Marius Clement, rounding out the top 10. So congrats to all the managers in the top 10 so far, and we're looking forward to see if we have any shake-up after Game Week 17. Now we moving down the table a little bit here. We could see my boy Magnus here at 49, and we finally reached myself. A red arrow. After 3 consecutive green arrows, the streak had to stop this game week. A flat 900 points on the season, 48-point game week. You could see my team at the current time of recording, of course, because there are no changes coming. We have our players and manager meeting this game week to shake things up. We have the Bronca, Poro, Saliba, Semikas, Palmer, Vice Captain to Captain Salah, Foden I brought in this game week, Saka, Gordon, Watkins, and Darwin. And now that you've seen my team and waited so long, we move now into my plan transfer. Here is where I give you the insight into the move I'll be making with my personal team this game week. And I'm keeping it simple with the injury looming over early at the time of recording. If it's confirmed, I'll be moving on early for either one of Callum Wilson. Of course, I have to wait to see if he gets the starting minutes versus Milan midweek. If not, and Isaac does, I believe Callum starts at the weekends. That's my preferred target. Or if it's not Callum, it's going to be Dom Solanke. So it will be Erling to either Callum or Dom Solanke. And with the funds I've freed up, I'll be moving on either Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon, or Phil Foden to Heung-min Son, because I got burned badly by the 17-pointer in the final game of Game Week 16 to drop my rank late. Didn't like that feeling. I believe against Spurs put on a show versus Forest on Friday. Of course, Erling blanks in Game Week 18, so if he misses 17, it will be 17 and 18. And with the Asian Cup finals looming large and the African Cup of Nations looming large, of course, Son and Salah will be leaving. So getting Erling back ahead of the Game Week 20 versus Sheffield will not be too hard. So again, it will be Erling and one of Gordon, Foden, or Palmer on either Callum or Solanke in the forward line and Son in midfield. And that's my plan transfer for Game Week 17. And that brings us to the end of this episode 20 of Proper Things. I had a great time delivering the episode. I have the fresh cut just to put Game Week 16 in the review. Looking forward to this game week. I expect a huge haul of points at some steamy fixtures, of course, headlined by the marquee match of United and Liverpool. So, good luck to all the managers out there. Thank you again for getting us to 20 episodes. Really appreciate all the love you've been showing for the content. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comment. And stay safe out there for the Christmas period. And don't forget to do proper things in all walks of life. We'll see you all next week.